Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the channel. The definition of imminent describes something that is about to happen very soon, sometimes, but may not always. It is specifically applied to something that looms as dreaded or frightening in a scenario such as a disaster. And yes, that is the chosen word that I used for the DJI ban, because whilst it might not be tomorrow, it is looking like a very real possibility. So tonight, we're just going to touch on that a little bit. I have put a video out on that, but we're not going to spend too much time on it because I think everything that I had to say, I did put in a video. We're going to talk about the fact that it would appear that TBS Crossfire has been hacked. But we have to define what hacking actually means here. And it might not be full kicking the doors open type of hack. We're going to talk about what next for FPV if DJI was to get hacked. We'll talk a little bit about new SoCs around the corner and anything else that comes up in the stream, but also what I've actually written in the doc because I've forgotten already. It's been a bit of a rough few days. Oh, Radiomaster Meshtastic support as well, and I've been playing with that a little bit too. Now, hello to everyone in the chat. Hello, John. How are you? Hello, Snags FPV, the cat father. How are you? Hello, Gary. Last minute. Will be a few months. Yeah, imminent is this year in my terms. We're not talking glacier, but we are talking it's likely to happen. Hello to everyone. I hope you are all well. So, I guess we should start on DJI. Now, if you don't know, I did put a video out about this a few days ago, and I just give you my perspective and thoughts on it. And look, there is a lot of opinion on it right now. What is a fact is one of two things is going to happen. They're either going to be banned or they're not. And this isn't into threat territory anymore. For those of us who've been around a very long time, and Gary has, and Gary will know what I mean by this, you know, there's been talk around trying to get DJI on various entity lists, trying to get DJI stopped, bills going in that got nowhere. The real big difference this time is this very specific drone act has been sort of laced into a much larger document that will go through. It's just a question of if this bit stays in, and it is a very small bit in a very large document, and this is very much trying to like bury bad news amongst some other headlines. And the reality is, I'm not sure there's anyone out there within government that cares enough about this to stop it. And at this rate, it's going to slide through on a ski slope because it's going to get wrapped up in everything else and dragged along with it. And that is the real danger. And that's why myself and many others honestly feel there is a very, very real possibility this is going to happen. And it is crazy times. There's zero chance the FCC will revoke. I wouldn't... The FCC don't have... Why would they not follow something that's been pushed through by Congress? The real question here would be, why would the FCC not? They don't care about drones. They don't care about DJI. The reality is, if this all gets pushed through, there is a very real possibility even the current certification would be revoked because they'll just be banned. Now, that doesn't stop you flying. You know, what I laugh at, and I did say this in the video, was all of the people on Facebook talking, DJI will send out firmware to block your hardware. DJI will not block your hardware. Right, let's cut all of the bullshit around DJI stopping you using your hardware. DJI will not stop you using your hardware. Yes, what if the American government tells them to? So the American government tells them that they're not allowed to sell products on them anymore, and they're going to say, yeah, you've got to give us... you've got to give us firmware that stops people using them. DJI are going to give them the finger. So the reality is, it is complex whether it will become prior or not. The reality is, if you already own the gear, it doesn't matter. Even if they ban it, are you going to stop using it? Here's a real question. How many people are already flying illegally anyway? So an FCC ban on FPV would have very little impact. Where it would have a big impact is on the consumer drones and people wanting to use them for business purposes because they wouldn't be able to legally. They wouldn't be able to get insurance. They wouldn't be able to get anything else. Most of the Super Deluxe made a very good point. Most of the stuff he already uses is banned. So from an FPV perspective, if the O3 air unit was banned tomorrow, and you're not flying professionally, and you're flying in your places where most of what you do is arguably illegal anyway, then you're no worse off. You can still use it. Where the problem will become is whether you can still buy hardware. Outside the spectrum management rules already. Exactly, MSHAGG. So, the reality is, the big problem here will be buying new equipment. Because if it is banned, it will, A, affect people wanting to use them for commercial purposes. That's a big problem. But B, bringing new stuff in. Would it affect if products were FCC licensed, stock and warehouse? Potentially. We don't know. It could be a future ban. It could be a historic ban. It could be just revoking everything they've got. Now, this does lead us in... is running unlicensed. Yeah, exactly, John, and that's the point. From an FPV point of view, and John has just said, everyone who's got a drone antenna change on their FPV goggles is running unlicensed and illegal anyway. You are. Anything you've done to your system... So, look, the real people a previous ban would affect is anyone flying a consumer drone in a situation where they need insurance or they need government or people to be happy with what they're doing. And that's where the perspective would be. From an FPV point of view, we won't care. Where it will affect us is the replacement of gear. But that doesn't mean you won't be able to buy air units in from China. You just may end up in the old position of like it was when you were importing VTXs that had too high a power when you had Hobby King. Someone will find a way around that. Don't worry about it. It will be fine. Okay? But if it does happen, what are the options? Well, one of the options will be Avatar HD. Because, look, there's no talk of a complete ban on Chinese equipment. There's no talk of a complete ban on Chinese drone equipment. This is very much aimed at DJI. So HDZero, Avatar HD will be fine, as we know it today. I suspect even DJI will be largely fine getting them under the black market. But it will have an effect. And what it will do, and I did see someone write a post which did make me laugh, and someone sort of said, great, it'll mean everything's cheaper. It's not going to make anything cheaper. If this ban goes through, you're going to be paying more for everything. Be under no illusion that everything will go up, not down. Supply and demand. For the drones for first responders. Yeah, that's the first responder stuff, John, isn't it? Sorry, Johnny. It's not everyone else. So, if you had a ham license in the US, you could still use DJI. Potentially, yes. There's lots of ways around it. So, and that's the interesting thing. But look, the reality is this. It is closer today to happening than it's ever been. And there are a lot of people, and I'll be honest, I genuinely think it might happen. I don't want it to happen, but I genuinely think it might happen. So, but look, your options will be continuing with DJI, will be, your options will be Avatar HD, your options will be analog, your options will be HDZero. Sorry, Super Deluxe, did I make you spill your coffee? Or what you might see, and here is a very real possibility, is you might see a load of white label DJI FPV and drone gear hit the market like we've started to see already. And this could become a game of whack-a-mole. This could easily become a game of whack-a-mole. What we don't know, and here's the interesting thing, is we don't know how many of these companies they've got sitting in the background ready to bring stuff in. I'm drenched. Sorry about that, mate. But yeah, you could very... bigger question is, how will DJI handle service and support if your goggles break, getting new ones from them? Yeah, this would be the complicating part, Johnny, because technically you wouldn't be able to import them into the US. So from a warranty point of view, you could send them to DJI, but you might not be able to get them back. That's where it would get very complicated. I heard the wording was modified to include Anzu. I would not be shocked. But Anzu is just one. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw a load, and I mean a load, of just white-labeled stuff. Yeah, the next year unit would be IJD. Can DJI not open a base in the US? I think it's too late for that MCFPV. I think that boat has sailed. Run camo, 4-link, here we come. You're not wrong. And this is the game, guys. This is the game. Yeah, look, we don't know. There are a lot of things that could happen. What I would say is this, and I saw some people saying, I'm going to sell my gear. Look, do nothing today. This is informational. I'm not even telling you to run out and buy air units. Just don't do it. Just carry on as you are and wait and see. That video is informational, so you are armed with information to know what's happening. I do think you could see just a slew of air units, a slew of goggles. What would be really hard for the US government to control is if you suddenly had like 10 or 15 companies appear based out of Hong Kong, based out of Malaysia, all making the same hardware. Come up and bring stuff in. Now, I am going to show you guys something. The Hill did a piece on this week. For those who don't know, now I don't know much about The Hill. For those who don't know, The Hill have done a piece on this by Brad Dress, and this went out on the 12th, talking about the situation. And I actually did an interview with The Hill talking about this whole situation. And I think I had about an hour and a half on the phone with them, or on a Skype call, talking about a lot of stuff from a technical standpoint, the hardware, the differences, what makes Anzu only possible through support of DJI and stuff like this. And if you scroll right to the bottom of this article, right to the bottom, right down, there's a piece here, right, which says, Ian Lewis, a long-time drone tech enthusiast who runs a YouTube channel called Mads Tech, said he and other investigators believe the Spectre drones have unique chipsets that are patented by DJI and cannot be sourced anywhere else. I quote, "We have never seen these chipsets in any other product," Lewis said. "You can't just replicate it. It's almost impossible." So, look, I made an American news piece. That was an hour and a half interview I gave there. And that's what they took from it. But yeah, very interesting indeed. But I was talking about it from a technical standpoint. Hit big on the hill. But yeah, it just did make me laugh. So, but yeah, it's interesting times, guys. Interesting times. On the flip side, Skydio are that right now, and steering the pot, I may add. And look, you can't blame them for doing it. Skydio are doing what they've got to do. And they are growing very successfully in the world that they want to grow in. And they want to be an industrial, and they want to be a search and rescue company. They're not going to be selling consumer drones anymore, so don't worry about that. What they might end up doing, though, is taking the consumer drone industry down along with them, unfortunately. Yeah. But hey, as long as they get what they want, they're all right. I'll be careful what I say, is what I'll do. So that's where we're at. But look, guys, don't go selling your stuff. It's fine. Just wait and see. But just don't think there's nothing. Whereas in the past, there's nothing really of substance been in it. There is a lot of substance in this now. A lot of substance in this now. And if nothing changes, it will go through. It's going to now take work to stop it happening. And that's the worry today. Whereas on things before, it was trying to get it pushed through. It's almost the opposite now. It's been very cleverly tucked into something that is likely to happen. So, but yeah, interesting times. So, as for DJI FPV, continue as you are. Now, as we're on DJI, I did see a question up here, and I'm going to talk about it very quickly. Someone asked a question about the Avata 2 stuck on 16 megabits a second. Let me just find it, because this is an important one, and I actually need to put something else on this. Let me just find it. Or if you're listening, can you put your question in again? Let me scroll to the bottom. If you're listening, can you put your question in again, or I'll try and find it. Here we go. My Avata 2 with Integra goggles gets max 16 megabits transmission. Why is it like that? Okay, so I have found a bug with the DJI Avata 2 when used either with the Goggles 3, Goggles 2 or Integra, and the ham hack. And this bug is, it seems to want to default when you have applied the ham file to 10 megabits bandwidth, even though you are in auto mode. Now, I saw this and it sort of passed me by as an issue because I thought I'd done something. But then I started seeing it again, and I've started to do a bit more digging, and there will be a video coming on this. But right now, if you're using the ham file, you may find the Avata 2 will not go to full 50 or 60 megabits a second, and that is because it has locked itself for some dull reason into 10 megabits a second. 10 megahertz carrier, 16 megabits a second. So the solution to this is as follows. Either put it in manual channel mode, select 5 gigs, 50 or 60 megahertz carrier or 40 megahertz carrier, it'll be fine. Test it there first in manual and then put it back into auto and see if it stays. And if it does, you should be sorted. But there is definitely a quirk where after applying the ham file, it is locking itself for some reason, even in auto, to 16 megabits a second. And I have replicated that here on the bench. What's happening with the green refresh brand for DJI? Do I think it's worth buying the Goggles 2 right now? Today, the Goggles 2 and Integra are the most compatible DJI goggle available on the market, period. They have more compatibility than any other DJI goggle on the market. They are a very good buy. They are a much better buy than the Goggles 3 right now. For sure, much better buy than the Goggles 3. And on that subject, I've just remembered something. 2 seconds. Now, whilst I'm on DJI, I do want to talk about this quickly. You may have seen a post on Facebook and Reddit and people saying DJI confirmed the V2 goggles will fly with the Avata. DJI V2 goggles will fly with the Avata. There are some screenshots from a conversation where the customer service rep appears to say that the V2 goggles work with the DJI Avata 2. This is an error. It is a mistake. DJI have already posted on this that it is an error. Anyone reading this should have spotted that it is complete nonsense, because when you look at what the DJI person was actually saying, if you read the chat, DJI Goggles Integra designed for analog FPV signals, offering a lightweight integrated design with built-in battery. DJI Goggles 2 V2 work with DJI's O3 air unit transmission system, offering higher quality and lower latency for DJI drones like the Avata 2. However, both can be used with the DJI Avata 2, depending on your preference for the video transmission system. Integra requires a separate analog receiver to pick up the Avata 2 analog signal if available. V2 goggles will work directly with the Avata 2's digital O3 air unit for seamless experience. There is so much wrong in what DJI's customer service rep said here. It is insane. Again, Goggles Integra are designed for analog FPV. Really? I didn't know the Integras could do analog. And it works with O3, because O3 is built into the Avata 2, not O4, remember. However, both can be used with Avata 2 depending on your preference. However, the Integras require a separate analog receiver. So there's even an analog module available, apparently, for the Integra goggles. Honestly, yes. I am... funny enough, someone has just said this. This is hallucinating. This is hallucinating down to the T. That is AI. 100% that is AI. 100%. You can see that is hallucinating in the way it's responded. Now, I can't believe I keep having to say this to people, but I am going to say it again. Don't ask anything with regards to future features, future capabilities to DJI support. That is like walking into the Apple Genius Bar and saying, can you tell me what the spec of the next iPhone is going to be? And will it have, I don't know, 6G? DJI customer support is the lowest level customer service representative that they have. They are not going to tell you anything beyond what is either in a script or what appears to be now AI hallucination. Don't fucking ask them questions and then run around the internet saying, DJI have told me this is coming. It's not the truth. It's not fucking happening. Asking DJI anything about anything to do with future is not... They will tell you nothing. They won't even tell creators anything. They won't even respond to emails from me, but they won't even tell a creator who works with them anything. They are not going to tell you in customer services, oh yeah, the V2 goggles will have support soon or this. So don't bloody do it. Completely not worth the wasting of time. DJs. They didn't even tell him about his current products. Exactly. You know, this wasn't even a what's happening in the future question. This was a, hey, can I use these goggles? But that is definitely AI. At the second I saw it, it was like, oh my God. That really smells of AI. That's just 100% fact-given hallucination. You can just see it. Anywho. Right. Before we move on, if you've got any questions, put them in the chat and I will try and answer them. That is coming next. Okay. So, this week... Actually, I was waiting for the stream to catch up. So, this week, something very interesting happened. A user posted around on Discord that he had hacked Crossfire. Now, I'm going to use hacked loosely here because hacked, I'm not convinced is the right term for this. However, a user has posted on Discord, and the user is CIRYU, that in his wording, and I'm just going to read this for you and I'll show you some images and we'll go through it. Successfully cloned and dumped the TBS Nano receiver. Interestingly, they're using very similar hardware to common Express LRS 915 receivers. They're using an ESP32 alongside an SX1272 versus an ESP8285 versus SX1276. It should be able to be adapted. It should be able to be adapted TBS hardware with Express LRS or vice versa. Currently, he's designed a 20x20 board to verify everything, will open source everything, and then he's edited saying accept the software, successfully uploaded firmware and connected to TBS Crossfire. Now, in this image, what he has is a TBS Crossfire transmitter module, and you'll see here his own receiver module. And what he's actually done is hacked, reverse engineered, and created his own receiver and flashed it with Crossfire. Now, it's loose to say it's hacked, but he has certainly done something that we haven't seen before. Now, I'm going to be crystal clear and honest here. I'm not sure what any benefit is in this. I am not a supporter of hacking private systems to sort of put them out of business. And what I mean by that is this. Crossfire is proprietary hardware. I don't release and software. It might not be as proprietary as we thought, but I don't see the benefit of being able to flash Crossfire onto Express LRS receiver, and I don't really see the benefit of being able to flash Express LRS onto a Crossfire receiver. For the price, I would just say go buy Express LRS hardware. In fact, something that came out in his discussions is just how poor the design is on some of the Crossfire receivers. And as a result of that, it's not really worth it. I 100% like closed source and open source platforms. Crossfire being closed source isn't a negative for me. I don't see that as a problem. I don't really see what the benefit is, but the fact it happened was quite big news and I wanted to share it. In itself, I don't feel there's any great benefit here to the world or the user community. Someone's just said, I would totally buy TBS hardware while running their Express LRS on it. I don't, though, really get why. Why would you just not buy a Radiomaster module? They're probably better. Alex has just said, and someone else just said it as well, that Test Pilot Ian said, I thought it was common knowledge that Crossfire and ELRS were using essentially the same hardware. Yeah, I think we sort of knew, but it's not really been publicized. And Alex has said the same thing. Similar. It was very obvious once the first ExpressRS system were available to alpha and beta testers. What I want to know is, why is stealing considered open sourcing something? Yeah, it isn't. And look, it's, for me, I don't really see the benefit in this. Crossfire is a closed source system. If you want to use it, go buy the Crossfire hardware and support TBS, because if you don't, they won't be able to continue to make it. But it is rather interesting as a subject, and that's why I've highlighted it. But again, I don't really see any benefit to a user in this. If you want ExpressRS, just buy ExpressRS hardware. If it could save from swapping some Crossfire receivers to avoid some hardware swaps, maybe, but Crossfire uses PIC32 in most of their receivers. Yes, they do have a combination of hardware. It's an interesting thing, but it isn't particularly groundbreaking, you know. I'm just going to sneeze. But I did think I'd share it. Now, I'm not sure it's right to call it hacked. This is probably cloned, is the right term. It is probably the right term for it. But it is interesting, and it warrants discussion. And what does it mean for TBS? I don't really think it means anything, in all honesty. I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't see anyone out there running out to want to flash their systems. I just don't really see this being a huge thing. There's tons of good ExpressLRS hardware out there. There's tons of good reasons to buy that. Just use what's best. Yeah, they've swapped between PIC32 and ESP32, it seems. You could build a Whoop board with inbuilt Crossfire with this. That you could do, yes. Yeah, it seems so, John. He did say he had software, but we don't fully understand how much of that he's reversed as well. TBS did recently say that manufacturing is getting back to normal, so it should be easier to buy things in stock or find things in stock. That's good news. Crossfire has better telemetry power. There are some high power, there are some high power ExpressLRS receivers out there, mind as well now. There's some pretty big ones. But yeah, it is interesting, so I thought I would mention it. Well, I just have a sip of my tea. Next, we're going to give a bit of an update on BL Heli 32. Funny enough, someone just posted that. Ian, have you seen the ESCs that uses Crossfire Volterra? No, I haven't. Aeroscare seems like the only thing it'll accomplish is starting shit with TBS. Probably, yeah. And look, I'm not condoning it. I'm not supporting it. I don't really see the benefit in it. I am a tech channel, and I always cover stuff like this. can't support AM32. Okay, so let's put the chat back up. Okay, so a bit of a quick update on BL Heli 32. Now, there isn't a lot to say. I have a video, though, coming on this, which is going to go live tomorrow, which is just a complete overview of the situation as it is today and a bit of a calm down, people don't need to do anything. And I am going to sort of do that here right now. So, as of today, nothing has changed. The servers are still down. You cannot flash BL Heli 32. You cannot update your ESC. Your existing ESC still works as it did before. There is no issues preventing you using your ESC as you did before. Yes, there was a firmware update that was designed to resolve some potential issues, but there needs to be a bit of understanding here, and there's a lot of confusion. BL Heli 32.10 did not fix an out-and-out horrible bug. 32.10 added some additional mitigation in the specific potential of a problem in a certain way, which was if the inputs were held low too long and it could potentially misunderstand what the input type was. It wasn't this is a major bug. It was, oh, there's a risk potential here, tiny as it is, we're going to try and close it. BL Heli 32.9 is not dangerous. There is no known specific bug in 32.9 that was fixed. All they did in 32.10 is add some additional safeguards. So there is no technical reason not to fly 32.9. There is no specific danger in 32.9. And don't think for 1 minute 32.10 is safe and 32.9 is not. Do not think for 1 minute any ESC, regardless of the firmware, regardless of the brand, doesn't have the potential for doing something crazy and trying to take your fingers off. Always, always treat it like it wants to kill you. And you should do that every single time you power it up. Don't be fooled into thinking 32.10 is safe, because it just isn't. And that is the stance today. So there is no reason not to use your existing ESCs. Now, as for should you try to upgrade your ESC to AM32, my advice is do not do it. Do not mess around. It's not worth the hassle. There is no easy way to fly AM32 today. There's no easy way to flash AM32 today on your ESC. The bootloaders are locked. There are only a limited number of targets available for AM32. Even if you figure out how to flash it and there isn't a target and you do it, you're going to be the alpha tester for that ESC, and you could have more problems than it solves. If you want to support AM32, if you want to try AM32, go and buy an ESC with it already on. Don't waste your time trying to flash it. I've seen some comments saying it's easy. Look, it's easy if you're someone like me, or you know what you're doing and you've got the hardware. It is not easy to the average user, and it comes with risk. It is just there is no good reason to not use BL Heli 32 today. Now, there is one specific set of users who do have a bit of a problem, which is racers. BL Heli 32.9 has a very specific annoying bug in 32.9 that if you crash, it won't let you rearm the ESC until you power cycle it. And this is a problem for racers. We are trying to find out if some of these test files can be used for this. It is a complicated situation. The reality is there is no reason not to use your ESC today. The future is AM32. Support the project. That is where the future is. But that project needs some time. That project cannot have everyone go to it at once and say, hey, we need targets. Hey, we want you to support all of our problems because we flashed our ESC and now it doesn't work properly. It is a complex process to flashing it. You need to figure out what type of bootloader it needs based on the pinout. You need to figure out if there's a target. If there isn't a target, you need to again figure out the correct pinout of the microcontroller so you can figure out where the back EMF comes into. There are several different types. It is a complex subject. It is a safety critical bug, but it isn't enough for you not to fly it. And I said that in the video. There is no reason not to fly it. It is a safety critical bug in the sense of there is a potential scenario that if the input isn't correct, the ESC can kick up. But it's not really a bug, it's a scenario. And they mitigated it. Now, we need pressure on them for them to do something. But something hasn't really happened. So the question mark is, I might replace one video with the other. AM32 needs time to grow. TPU props would be safe. I'll be honest, I have already in my head come up with... Look, I personally feel ESCs are a risk, and I still think there is more that could be done. I've actually had two ideas, and one of the ideas is... And if I'm sharing this, it'll probably get stolen now, but I'm going to do it because I haven't had time to do it myself. But you hear it here first. So the first idea I've had is, for those who don't know, iFlight... Okay, so let me just find it. iFlight have this device here, which is an anti-spark filter. And what this basically does is it's a FET switch, okay? So what it does is it soft starts the power input. So rather than you plug your power in instantly, it soft starts it and ramps it up so you don't get the discharge. Because remember, when a capacitor is discharged, it's basically short-circuited and it soft starts. Now, my idea is to have a modified version of this that has a very simple 555 timer on board and has a switch that lets you select 10 or 20 seconds. And the idea is very simple. When you plug your battery in, you have a 10 or 20 second time before the power actually kicks in. Now, you would design the circuit on this is such that once it has powered up, it becomes a feedback that the switch cannot be turned off by the 555 timer. So the 555 timer only kicks it, and once it kicks, there will be a feedback loop that then, once the FET is powered, the FET will continue to power itself so it can't turn off in flight, and that is the safety. But the real simple thing in my head is a 10 to 30 second gap is enough for you to put your quad down. Now, Chris has just said something interesting. I refuse to put a FET between my battery and my ESC. Chris, your ESC is made up of 10, 20 or 30 FETs. I've seen this comment loads of times. I'm not putting a FET in, there's a risk. Your ESC is FETs. There's, on average, 3 to 6 FETs on every output. It's no different. Literally, no different. It's all about the circuit. It's all about the circuit. I don't mean to have a go at you, Chris. You just fell into the bear trap. Sorry, mate, but you fell into the bear trap. But yeah, honestly, I think a 10 to 30 second switchable option An inactive FET is basically just a short. Yeah, well, they use it as a soft start, so they ramp it up. But yeah, and I would just have a 10 to 20 second delay. That's all I would do. And you could actually build this into an ESC very simply. Look, I honestly think for the safety benefit, a 20 second delay for, ignore racers. Racers won't want that. You can't take the risk for racers is different. But I think a 20 second delay would just make sense. It takes away the safety risk. Because then you would have to have two separate points of failure. The ESC should have the switch. You could build this into an ESC quite simply. What you could also do, and I did have an idea, was to sort of short the outputs of the microcontrollers to ground for 10 Teco. 20 second delay drains about 3 to 5% battery. It won't delay anything because nothing's powered up. Super Deluxe, it's dead. You're not losing anything because it's not powered up. You're not waiting 20 seconds. You're not powering the quad for 20 seconds. You plug in the battery in, nothing happens. You put the quad down. By the time you've turned your back and picked up your remote, it's already alive. The idea is that you can put it down without power being in. And then, even if the FET didn't do that and kicked in, you then have the second redundancy of your usual ESC protection. A mechanical plot blocker, yeah, you could do that. A mechanical plot, it's another one, Alex. The only risk, Alex, is a mechanical prop blocker is creating airborne weapons to go into your eyes. Because if it spins fast enough, it'll snap the props. Or you'd have to have it so it holds it. I can't even say it. Mechanical prop blocker. Yeah, AVI, you just need some form of, I would want some form of hard safety. Mechanical timer switch. Yeah, fucking a massive timer. And look, racers wouldn't want this, but look, for something very simple, there's a lot of like iFlight quads already have this. A 20-second delay would be very simple. A good way to bin out motors in ESC. Yeah, we spoke about DJI at the start. But yeah, a second redundancy safety is my idea. With a 10 to 20 second delay, have a switch, 10, 20, or 10 or 30 seconds. You just plug it in, pop it down, walk back, then you'll hear it go boop because of the delay timer's kicked in. You have a feedback loop so the FET can't shut itself back down off the timer. Nice and simple, nice and cheap. It would be, look, we risk ourselves every day plugging in a battery. Let's go full bomb squad and have robots plug in your batteries for you. Yeah, that would be cool. Your finger is worth more than a 10-second delay on your quad, is what my point is. And when I looked at this, I just thought, why do we not just put a timer on this? Why do we just not put a timer on this to just give ourselves some safety room? You know, in the big drone world, you wouldn't dare do what we do. You wouldn't dare put your fingers anywhere near the props. Just don't use props. Yeah. Yeah, 20 seconds gives you time to put the goggles on as well. Yeah. And actually, this could save battery power because it's not kicking in as soon as you plug the battery in and you're putting down. Props are overrated in this hobby. But yeah, look, it's an idea I've had. More like limbs, yeah. Yeah, you could have it programmable with the USB port. I think 2 seconds is quite short. I think 10. You wouldn't want more less than 5. You could do it via software. You could put on an ESP32, and how cheap do we want to go? 555 timer. You could build it in software. You could do what you want. Potential is there. But the interesting thing is this hardware already exists. It wouldn't take a lot, right, to modify this. It would not take a lot to modify this to do it. At all. I even wonder if this could do it without any changes. There are dedicated soft button controllers that do that exactly that on flight thing. Yeah, you just want some cheap IC. I use the pit mode. But I love that 6 plug-in spark. It's a good bit of kit, this. I have it on a number of quads. Is it possible to use HD font with my Integra O3 combo? You can use the HD, yes, but you can't use the custom fonts on O3. So you can use the HD option, but you can't use the custom fonts that are out there. Yes, I talked about the DJI ban at the start. So that was that one. Now, if you've got any questions, put them in the chat before. Yeah, you can't use custom fonts in O3. There's just been no real push to hack it. Any good info? It might happen. If you've watched my video, there's nothing new. Take a shot every time someone asks about the DJI ban. Yeah. Favorite chocolate biscuits? Oh. Oh, it would look amazing. It would look amazing. DC, take a shot every time. The spark on a 12F 160 amp ESC on one of my helicopters is literally bang. Yeah, that's scary territory. Tetley, I drink in the UK. For those who know what Tetley is, get off the screen, Radiomaster. I drink Tetley. Yeah, I think the problem, what I do know is this, okay? So DJI have burned a lot of they sort of closed up a lot of the holes that were in O3 firmware, and it's made it very difficult for the guys to get in. And it's not necessarily a fact of they don't have a way in, it's having a way in that's consistent. So here is a point, right? The hack that the guys found in the end for the V2 goggles, DJI can't close. It's unfixable, basically. So no matter what DJI do now, they have a way around it. Whereas that wasn't the case on O3. Sorry, that isn't the case on O3. Sound is slightly muffled and low. Should be fine. I don't know if anyone else has a problem with the sound. Oh, Get FPV is selling flight test kits now. Oh, no. Didn't know that. Read 55. I didn't know that. Some people are saying it's quiet. Some people are saying it's fine. DJI will just sell us a Spectre here. Yeah, everyone will sell a Spectre here. That's probably what it's going to be. Okay. And the new products, I wonder? So where am I looking under here? Anyone know? Does DJI have custom ASICs or just use FPGAs? They have a custom ASIC. VT comments. YT comments, sorry. They have their own custom ASIC. It was on the banner. Oh, it's on here, is it? Let's have a look. Ah, yes, there. Flight test. Oh, look at these. Oh, the flight test kits. That's cool. We'll have a look at them in a minute. Oh, God. 5% off your first order. The flight test folding knife. Is that like a jerry rig everything knife? I think it just... Audio complainers are just trolls trying to steal your time. Ah, you get them on every stream. Was that Freddie Mercury on the FPV homepage? If you're talking about this, no, it was not Freddie Mercury. That is what every FPV pilot should look like, apparently. Yes, the FCC hack for the Goggles 2 is still fine. Yes, there's no issues. Steve Mercury. All I can say, ladies and gentlemen, is marketing lives on well in FPV. What do we have? We have Mr. Steele, Johnny FPV. Right there is that thing, that abomination. Here's a question. Has anyone actually fricking bought that? Tell me if anyone knows anything who has spent the money on that. Oh, they've taken Bardwell off the banner. Bardwell's not as important now as the others. Johnny FPV and Mr. Steele are more important than Bardwell. Bardwell's gone off the carousel. Has anyone bought this thing? As low as $1,099. Fucking honestly, this thing. Who in there? Right, we're gonna stock this one up because we're gonna make sure we need it. We're just going to stock this up as the drone and camera because we've got everything else. Has anyone got a spare 1,900 quid for this drone? That has all of these 3D printed parts. I want bloody moulded silicone and moulded plastics for £1,000. Lifting leg servos. You're paying £1,000 for this quad, right? Without the camera. So they are charging you, let's just say an expensive quality O3 drone is about $600. Remember, you can get the iFlight Echo, the iFlight Eco for $399. But let's just go an expensive O3 quad, $599, $600. But no, they want you to pay nearly $1,100 right? So $500 more for 2 servos. $500 more for 2 servos. And some 3D printed silicon mounts. They are off their heads, is what they're off. They are off their heads. The servos put the landing legs up and down. So for those who haven't seen this thing, there is a video on it. Fucking just... It's not that one because that's DC's. There is definitely a video on this thing. It's not the QAV Pro, it's the Mirage 360. I've definitely seen a video on this thing somewhere. I just don't know where. Interestingly, it doesn't look to be on YouTube. I don't think they've sent one of these out for a review. No. Let's have a look. Are they... No, there doesn't look to be anything. Doesn't exist. They're on drugs. Lots and lots of drugs is what they're on. Too much dollars to send to you. Yeah, it's... but they actually are completely ripping you off as well. An utter disgrace of a price for that quad, as far as I'm concerned. Utter disgrace. Okay, so the final thing I just want to quickly talk about is this, which is, if you don't know, the Bandit Nano, which is their Express ELRS 915868, is now compatible with Meshtastic. Now, if you don't know what Meshtastic is, it's basically an offline text messaging service that might be quite popular where you live, but might not be. I actually have been playing with Meshtastic this week a little bit, and it's interesting. Let me just get to Meshtastic's website. If you don't know what it is, it's a LoRa-based communications protocol. It's not particularly impressive. It's handy if you live somewhere where there's no communications and you wanted to set up your own text messaging service. DC's just said he's got TDEC. Yeah, they have like little devices available as well. TDEC. There's only pictures of it here. Yeah, this little thing here, you have to 3D print your own case for it, and you can basically create your own Raspberry, your own BlackBerry, basically. I would like some LoRa text messaging pages for camping. Yeah, it's cool for that stuff. Definitely cool for that stuff. So you've got stuff like this. I don't believe this is a particularly great thing. I don't believe it works particularly well. Haven't tried one. But yeah, Meshtastic now works on those Radiomaster modules. I've been testing it. It works fine. If you want to set up your own texting based thing, it's great. What I will say with the Meshtastic project is it's not the easiest thing to get your head around. The way groups and contacts is set up is a little bit confusing. I think it needs some work with regards to how they explain things. But it does work. It does actually work very well. Just use a ham radio. Yeah, I think if I lived somewhere off grid, this would be very interesting. That's for sure. You know, for people who live off grid, it's definitely in the online flasher is very easy. Yes, you are right, Justin. So it's like the online Express LRS flasher. For those who don't know, Express LRS also have an online flasher, which is incredibly easy to use as well. Incredibly easy to use. Now, Why would you want to? Oh, if you wanted to build yourself a Meshtastic network, so you could build yourself 2 modules and have like a peer-to-peer, or you could set up yourself a node and forward other people's, or become part of a network. Really, it's if you want to do it. What I'd suggest doing is going and watching a Meshtastic video, but I have been testing it this week. I've got it flashed already, and I've been doing some stuff, and it's interesting. It's not groundbreaking. At best, it's an offline SMS system. It's the easiest term to use. But yeah, it's quite interesting. I have 30 I can hand out to people out on the lake where LT towers don't shine and perfect for... Yeah, exactly. That kind of stuff, as Chris has said there. Using LoRa. Yes, it is. So it's long range over LoRa. Hello, Drone Shots. So this wouldn't have any... No, it's just... Yes, you are correct, Alex. It's an alternative use for our modules. Basically, it's not for FPV. It's just an alternative use, but it's worth mentioning because there are people who... quite a lot of people who are into this. For those who haven't seen it. Espresso SNEs. Yes. Right, guys. I'm going to call it quits there tonight. I want to say a big thank you to everyone for spending some time with me. I want to say a huge... Actually, before I go, I got to do a super chat. Don't go anywhere. Thank you for the $5 super chat. I can't even say your name. I missed this coming in. Any good suggestions for antenna placement on a 7-inch Apex DC running 2.4 gigs Radiomaster RP40D receiver? I always go low level at the back. I always go low level at the back, horizontal, on my long range stuff. And I always go that way. But vertical, you want to try to give yourself a mix. So I has the RP4TD. Is that the dual? Is that the dual receiver, the TD? I can't remember which one that is. If it is the dual receiver, go one vertical, one horizontal towards the back. Which one is it? Oh, it's the Gemini dual. Yes. Sorry. Yeah. So go one vertical, one horizontal on the back of the quad would be my advice. One vertical, one horizontal towards the back. Maybe one on the arms. Maybe one, the vertical one, sort of making sure that there's plenty of space around it vertically. You want to try and have plenty of space around it. But yeah, one vertical, one horizontal. Don't worry about separation too much between those two antennas, but you want to try and keep those antennas away from other antennas as much as you can. So I hope that answers the question. Massive thank you for the super chat. Right, guys, that's it there. I'm going to say thank you for spending some time with me. Look after yourselves. We should be back same time, same place next week. I will speak to you soon. Now I got to try and find out how I can end the stream because, oh, YouTube seems to have taken it. YouTube has taken away my... I can't end the stream. I got no end button. What is going on? Dismiss. I've got no button to end the stream. My window's played up. Wait a minute. I'm refreshing the window. Now it's back. Now it's back. There we go. Right. I'll speak to you soon.